so we're going to do a 7-circuit Heart Labyrinth, and we've got our chain set up here to be 10 path widths long. So I'll double check that here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's right there. And from this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that gives us our center line for the heart, and then our labyrinth is going to be 7 path widths on either side of the center, and these are going to be our pivot points to draw the arc on the opposite side. So we're going to start with that. We're going to first get an idea of perpendicular to that where our center line is going to come down. So down here, somewhere about here, it's going to be our entry into the center of the heart. So we'll make a little mark there as a reference for where to stop. And we're going to pivot on that pivot point, but we're not going to draw it here. We're going to draw it 1 path width in. So I want to stick my other pin in this link. So I'm going to mark this spot really well. And then I'm going to find my spot there. And just leave a little bit sticking out. I'm going to scribe from here, pulling against the chain. Hey, look at that. Caught it almost perfectly. Okay, then I'm going to put it back and do the other side the same way. So let's stick it back in here, pull it tight. I've already got my 1 path width mark there. There it is, so it's in that one. Scribe this arc all the way down, stomach it there. Gives us the side arcs of the heart, 1 path width in, and these top pivot points here are going to be where these top 2 parts come off. So this is going to be 1 path width down, and then this is going to come off of that and go down. Should take that pivot out. And same thing on the other side. Take this out temporarily. Keep it cleaner. Okay, now for the top of the heart, I'm going to come down on this center line about 2 path widths down. 1, 2. This is going to be my center. It's going to bisect this distance across, and I want to be about 2 path widths below, right in that big footprint right there. So this should be halfway. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, and the same thing from the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this mark should be just about equidistant between these 2 marks. Okay, so it's about 3 2/3 path widths over. Now here I can borrow one of these pins if you only have 2, and I'm going to want to draw the top 2 lobes of the heart, but I need to find a point that bisects this and this. So there's 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to go back from here the other direction. 1, 2. So my midpoint is going to be here. So hit that a couple inches down from the top and hit the center line. Okay, and we're going to do the second lobe the same way. So we're going to find the midpoint between this line and the center line. So we'll go 1, 2, and we know this one is already 1, 2 from that line, so we just bisect that, and we'll wind up with the other pivot point for the other lobe, and set that in there. Double check it. Yep, looks good. Mr. Seagull's gonna eat my hat. So that gives us the center and the pivot points above, and everything else will be drawn off of those measurements. So we'll start, we'll bring these down. I'm going to hold this one back a little bit because this is going to be a 2 path width radius turn. It's going to be a nested turn there. And I need to find this point over here to pivot on the inside turn. And it's going to be 2 path widths over. 1, 2, and 1 path width up. So that's my pivot point there. And this will go back up. And then you're going to have one that comes across the top. So I'll start that about here. And I'll bring that one down. And then this path will come around and go back over the top. So I'm going to use that left line as a guide, round that corner a little bit tangent to the entry path. And around. So this path will continue across the middle and go over the top of this one. That's the path that takes you from one side to the other. And these will come down. Same thing here. I'm going to hold this up short a little bit. Because this is going to be also 2 path widths away to pivot. So there's 1 and 2, and that hits the other path. So this is my 1 path width radius pivot point that's going to come back up, and then this one's going to come down, and this one's going to come around 2 path width radius turn. Should hit that tangent point. This one's going to go up and over as well, but it's going to be part of the 2 nested turns at the top that form the top of the heart. And then the entrance into the center is going to be from the 5th circuit. So this is going to come down and go around. All of those lines are pretty easy because they're all just drawn equidistant away from those first 2 arcs that we did on the sides. The next point is going to be a little trickier. We have to find the center point of the top of the heart. So following the center of the entry path through the center of the heart, somewhere up in here is going to be where the 2 lobes on the top of the heart meet. And it's going to be another pair of nested turns here at the top. So it's going to be 1, 2 path widths away. I'm looking for the pivot point in the center of the 2 nested turns. And it's going to be 2 path widths away from this path. 1, 2, right? 1, 2, 1, 2. So if I pivot on this one, catch that mark, and then use this as a guide for the 2 path width radius turn. I should hit the center line there. And come around and catch that line. And then the center pivot catches that one. This one went around a little bit too far. Just erase a little bit of that. Erase my other center. And this one will go all the way back down. I'm going to stop this right about here, because at this point it's going to stop being an arc and it's going to go straight to the entrance, or fairly straight. To parallel that, you could keep it arcing gently or you could make it straight. You'd wind up with a bigger heart space near the opening if you made it straight. It'll give you a slightly larger labyrinth as well. So this is going to be the other half of that turn. Okay, and I'll stop it about there. So we've got the top half on the right. Now we'll find the same thing on the left. So we have our path that goes through, and then we've got a 2 path width radius turn. So this is going to be my pivot right here, and it's going to be 2 path widths. It's going to come around a little bit more. Looking for a point on this arc that's 2 path widths from the center. 1, 2, and is 2 path widths from this line. So this is going to be in here somewhere. And there's 1, and there's 2. 1, 2. So if I pivot on this one, that will tell me where that one is. And then using this for my 2 path width radius turn, I'll catch that. And I'll just kind of cross country that one a little bit. And the rest of these are just connect the dots. So these are also going to come down and form the entrance. And again, I'm going to stop about here. So if you refer to the diagram, this path is going to come down here and curve and become the entrance into the labyrinth. I can eyeball that coming down here and making a mark somewhere around there. And then this path is going to come down here till it hits a point 1 path width from here. And then it's going to pivot and head back. So looking at that, looks like I'm a little bit low. I'll move that up a little bit. I'm aligning it with that one inside there. If I bring that down to there and I pivot, okay, I'm winding up inside that path, so I want to move it over a little bit. So I wind up on that point. That's looking better if I come straight at it. So if I eyeball that and kind of make a little looking right at the other path, then I can align this handle with the center of that path and just bring it straight up. This is my entrance to the labyrinth, so I'm going to pivot here, catch that tangent, and back up. And then the same thing on the other side. This I need to leave clear because this is going to be the entrance to the labyrinth right there. And I'm going to have my pivot point over here, one path width away. So now I'm sighting for that middle path there that's going to hit that point. So looking straight at that middle path, make a little mark here, then align that at the center of that path. I'll just bring it up. There's the two lobes that come down, and all that's left is the entry. Looks like the left one came down a little bit too far. So my entry didn't wind up very centered. Looks like I'm a little bit shifted to the left as well. The others came out a little bit better. Now you can continue this arc all the way around on this if you want, and it'll come up a little more like this and kind of close it off a little bit. You'll wind up with a smaller heart space here in the center. And then we have one path left to finish. We're done with the chain now. This one's going to come across, follow the curve of this, and just touch the top lobe of the heart. And what I've done before is bring it down and kind of highlight the heart portion. I'm lifting that other tine up to just deepen this line. And that's going to continue from there. So I'm going to deepen this line down to the center. Pick up that little heart shape there, come back up, and I'm tangent to, oh, a little tight there. And then deepen this line a little bit as well. Seventh Circuit Heart Labyrinth, a variation based on a design by Marty Kermeen and Jeff Sayward, brilliant labyrinth artists and craftsmen in their own right. Theirs was originally a reflection labyrinth with the entrance here entering like a roundabout here, and you could go either way and you met at the top, but the center was not open. You couldn't access the heart in the middle. So this was an adaptation of that design from somebody who loved the pattern but who wanted to be able to get into the center and have it be more of a standard type of labyrinth. Be great for a wedding on the beach, you know, bride and groom, officiant at the top, congregation around the sides.